Hey guys, Bitcoin Bankers here, and I really thought I'd do a review. I haven't done a video for a little while now because Bitcoin's been moving all over the place. Also, I know this video, I normally put Bitcoin videos on my kind of music channel on Facebook. It's basically because music's had to take a sideline for the last few years with COVID, but I am looking at doing a new album, which is going to be sort of like covers and things, and maybe one or two of my own songs, but that's only at the very beginning, and I'll be looking at developing that over the year. So today we're talking about Bitcoin. Been a lot of things going on, so we're going to take a quick look at the markets. We're going to look at Bitcoin, and I'll have a look at a few other altcoins. I won't do it a lot because they're all kind of moving together, but where is Bitcoin going at the moment? I'm going to tell you what I think, and what to be careful of, and what I think is, might be some good things coming up. We'll see how we go. So why don't we take a look? Okay guys, so just having a look at the weekly here. We're going to start on the weekly. Alright, and basically it looks like it's kind of developing this second shoulder here for Head and Shoulders. 1, 2, and then kind of developed a little bit here, and it's coming down. But I don't think this has really played out. If we have a look at our just our other indicators down here, we've got a Stochastic Rsi, which I have my own settings for, and we have TSI as well. Okay, True Strength Indicator. Now these work pretty well together, but you can never always rely on them. They just give you a bit of an indication on the strength of the currency at the time and things like that. Right. So I've also taken off the Traders Reality indicators here, just so we can get a bit of a clearer look at Bitcoin and see what's going on. So this was around the 20,000, 25,000 mark here from a while ago. We're currently here, like I said, on the weekly, and I've been talking about how it was coming down this channel. I stopped trading up around here, so I haven't traded for months. It's really sucked because I really only trade spot. I don't do leverage much anymore at all. It's just become too much of a fool's game. So I try and just wait for spot, and when Bitcoin's sort of moving up, I don't really go either way. I've just been really busy lately as well, just doing other things and getting on with my life post-COVID, and just kind of getting back into the swing of life, which has been a bit tough when you're not trading and not making a lot of money. So, at this point in time, I'm looking at Bitcoin and I'm seeing this rise on the weekly. Okay, and I'm going to put this in context with everything else soon, but everyone's going, oh no, we're going down to 20, rah, 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 rah. Well, I've got to say, based on what we've seen lately, there has been a bit of a good push back up. It's kept us above this line here, this 40,000 line. I was expecting to spend more time down in this mid-region. It hasn't yet, and it might spend a little bit more time there coming up. But I think Bitcoin is getting quite, I think the sellers are maybe getting a bit worn out on this time frame. We may very well see a W being formed here, from here, to like this, and it might come back down a little bit. And on the weekly, this is what we could be looking at over a longer period of time. So we could be having this W formation sort of starting to work its way out. I don't know how long this might take. It could take a little while. But, when things come down here, you don't get a lot of time. I mean, you did here, but you don't really get a lot of time when it hits a low. It kind of shoots back up reasonably quickly. So you've got to make a decision half the time. And you're kind of put under pressure if you're a trader. Now, I'm going to go over to another site for a moment. This is another one that I use quite regularly. This is where I do some spot trading and things. It's an Australian market. And I just want to go down here and show you. This is basically kind of like their book map. It's going to show you where a lot of the orders and things are. So we can see that there's a lot of orders. People are still waiting for the money to come down here. I mean, we're at 55,000 at the moment. So, you can see there's a pretty strong wall here, and then one here, 39. Now, 40,000 Australian is actually, if we go down, that's $15,000. So if we go down 15, you're looking at 26 grand, which is around here, right? So that'd be a big drop. And frankly, at this point in time, I don't see that happening right away. And now it's time to go into what, here is the danger. Here's what I think is the danger. Okay, looking at this monthly. Now, it's showing that it's quite oversold on the stochastic, and that's fine, but there's still a lot of room here for it to go down. Okay, so it can come down and start meeting these marks here quite easily. My big concern is the true strength index. Okay, this is my big concern. It's still, relatively speaking, it's still quite overbought. Now, Bitcoin in the past has actually managed to get up into, around the 80-90 range in the true strength, which I've never seen anything else go over 40, but Bitcoin's gone up to 80-90. So, I just think we've got to be a little bit careful. It's hit this line twice, almost 3 times, and it's coming back down towards this line again, this kind of center line here, and hasn't actually broken under. So I do have a concern that because we have a double top and we've pulled back, and that we have all this extra room on Bitcoin to move down, there is the risk of 14,000, 20,000, 25,000, 19. These ranges can be met. However, I don't think it's even going to get down to sort of here. I don't think it'll break the 29. To be honest, I don't think it'll break the 35, 33. Okay, because if we just go to bookmap here, let's go back. You can see that most of the order, there's a lot of orders around 40. There's a lot of support here. Okay, there's quite a bit of orders building up right down here, down to about the 35. We can't see what's below that at this point in time, but 35 is kind of the lowest point where I think there's a lot of people putting orders in there. A lot more orders will fill up around this region. I think a lot of people want to try and grab Bitcoin if it hasn't dropped down. So, you got 152 Bitcoin, 122 Bitcoin, 115, 124, 104. So there's like 500 or 600 Bitcoin just in this range here, which is a lot. With Bitcoin at 40,000 times 600, figure that one out. What's that? Nearly 2.5 billion, probably worth of Bitcoin there, maybe. So that's a lot. It's a lot sitting there. So what I'm going to do, let's get rid of these. So the monthly does concern me. But because it's slow moving, it can kind of shake itself out a little bit. But, there's still a little bit more down here at the moment. But I think that could change, okay? Now let's go to the daily. I'll show you the weekly quickly again. Here's the weekly. This is that range that it's always had, very strong range. Now it looks like it's coming down to break that a little bit more again. Again, I think a lot of the selling momentum really seems to have been sort of worn out a bit, but I can certainly be proven wrong. Are we getting a larger W here? Is this what's going on? Do we have a large W pattern playing out? Like this. Is there a big W happening here and she's going to shoot off? That's becoming more and more likely. Okay. Let's shoot this down. This is becoming more and more likely to play out. So we could be getting this nice big W pattern forming here, which psychologically everyone recognizes W as a bullish kind of pattern. We have the weekly starting to build momentum, and the lower time frames always take a bit longer to play out. You can have a few cycles of the daily, which we'll look at now. Let's get rid of this. You can see our daily is becoming more and more oversold here. Okay, so it's having a good sell, but it's a very steep. So I might see, even though the stochastic showing that it's quite a steep sell-off, people sort of jumping out. On the strength index, it's really not coming down that hard. The lines are just meeting now, but they're not really crossing over or anything if we really want to open it up. Okay, so I've done a really minor cross here. By the time that this sort of comes down and starts to roll back around again, we can have another 1 or 2 cycles of day going up and down before the weekly really starts to get its trajectory going, this could be going like this, you know. So if the weekly and the daily start building up, and the monthly can just sort of sit still and maybe, you know, go a little bit more sideways or take its time, we may not see much more of a crash here or any kind of big crash. There is a, you know, probably black swan event coming up in March, because we had March 2020. There's a lot of people saying that, you know, the Fed's going to do this, that, interest rates, blah, blah, blah. You know, but Bitcoin really doesn't, even though people say Bitcoin's correlated with a lot of these markets, it's really not. You know, it does its own thing. The only reason it is because you have market makers coming in and kind of replicating actions that are happening on the larger markets, okay? Remember, it's always the market maker is deciding where to push the price, okay? The market maker determines, okay? Now, who's the market maker? Well, there's people like Alameda and things that give their money out to a lot of these people, a lot of these exchanges, and people working behind the exchanges to push price up and down, and basically make money. So, all in all, I think, you know, when we're looking on this daily patterns are reasonably easy to sort of see and play out. If we break this, you know, if we break this sort of 39, 40,000, obviously we'll sort of have a bit more of a retrace. I think we'll cover this, all right, this area here, come down, maybe it'll play in there, but I think we'll see a pretty quick recovery, and it's just going to keep struggling along, I think. You know, we may have a bit more of this kind of action. If you have a look at my earlier videos, I pretty much called all this action from about, I think it was about here, actually even here, I called it all the way down and what it was going to do. I said it was going to try and push up, it wouldn't get in, and it'll play out more in this region. And I also said if we can consolidate in here for as long as possible and just kind of let everything shake out, let everything sort of move out, let that monthly kind of have a bit more of a sell-off. We need that selling to get the monthly momentum down a bit, so we can then start to turn around and spring back up. Okay, so do I think Bitcoin can get bullish by the end of the year? Absolutely, it'll definitely get bullish. We have to wait and see what happens in March. Okay, really have to wait and see what happens in March, April. I'm expecting by May, June this year, we may start to see more of a rise in Bitcoin. If we can stay in this range and don't break under. If the range breaks, we'll either get a little bob down and then come back in, or she's just going down, okay? So, as this is playing out, because we've had this kind of, I was hoping it would come down, really test this area, come up, test this area, come down, and then shoot off. It hasn't really done that. It's come down, it's tested the midpoint of this channel, it's come up, and it's kind of fighting, you know, a lot of the retailers probably jumping in, hoping it was going to shoot back up here. I did say when we were around this region, we could get a pump up to try and get back in. I think this is now broken. I don't think we're coming back here anytime soon. I think what's going to happen is we'll either play out on this line a little bit at the top of the channel, or we'll come down and start. We need to fill in this here. We have this big wick here. When you have these big wicks, they have to get filled. They always end up getting filled. If you have a look at this one, played out, everyone thought we were going up, and then bang, the market makers came and took it and pushed us down to our 40 level. Same thing happened here when we spiked down, it came back up and then took that region out. Okay, this is what they always do. Same with here, came down, pumped up, sat along, tried to take it out, and then they were just basically engaging everyone and short stopping everyone. Stop hunting, if you want to call it. And then it eventually came down, took out that wick, made a new one, kind of just dropped it below, cleaned it out, took that whole region, and then it moved up. So I'm expecting a similar kind of thing here. I'm expecting that it's going to come down. It's going to take out this range here at the bottom of the spike, the wick. Probably come back down, maybe get down towards the bottom here. It's going to freak everyone out, and then she'll probably shoot up. But the very near term, let's have a look at the 4 hour. Okay, so the 4 hour is still sort of pushing itself up, but true strength, there's nothing actually there. So this is it's a bullshit move, okay? I don't know why this is showing. Maybe a lot of people are just accumulating and buying. So you can see she's sitting right on the boundary here. Once this wears itself out by the end of the day, she'll probably start coming back down, testing these regions back in here. Okay, so could see 37 by the end of the weekend, early next week, probably Monday. Could start to see that area starting to be attacked. All right. Once that sort of gets attacked, it may use this area of support, and we go for another ride back up and challenge these prices up here. It's hard to say how far up or how far it's going to move. The weekly, there's more action going on, but I think we need to play out a bit of a sell-off again. All right, so this week, early this week, probably a bit of a sell-off. And then by the end of the week, maybe starting to build up again. So a couple more days. Would you get in shorting here? I'd be very careful about making shorts right now. You kind of want to short when it's testing these regions. All right? You don't want to short at a really strong sort of support line. It's a bit dangerous. All right? Let's have a look at Ethereum. Ethereum's probably doing something similar. Yeah, it has its own sort of map. So Ethereum's still sitting in this big triangle that it made a long time ago, okay? Let's go to the weekly even. Let's go to the weekly and have a look at Ethereum on the weekly. I'm not a fan of Ethereum, but hey, you know, it's holding its own. And it's actually not too bad. It's still staying in this channel, so Ethereum can just technically come down with Bitcoin a little bit to here, and then start to see a work up towards this line again, maybe. I don't know if it'll come up that high, but you know, it might start testing under these regions here and just keep playing out. So we need to see whether Ethereum's going to fill up this area of the triangle. Still got some time to go before it's going to make any kind of moves. And if you have a look, this is around, you know, August, September, June, you know, so I was saying by May, June, we might start seeing a bit of a rise in Bitcoin. So that could correlate with Ethereum as well, and it might start challenging this line by the end of the year with the 3,800, sorry. Yeah, probably challenge. I'm guessing, you know, 35.90 might be a range that we might see later. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we might see it over the next 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks. Just have to wait and see how we go. All right. So, but shorter term, look, really, it's just not a good idea to be buying into anything right now. I just want to wait and see where it's going. You need to see these just really flush themselves out. You can get a big wick to push this down. It's in the oversold region, so you know, it's getting towards the end of a bit of a cycle, a small cycle here. So we want to see that kind of. There's our spike again, so it might take this out a little bit. Yeah, it took it out here for the most part. So you might see a bit more of a challenge down just around this line, look like a fake out and then come back. All right, so that's what I'm expecting. Something completely different could happen. So, you know, it's just very risky right now, okay? The way the whole world markets are playing out at the moment are all becoming very turbulent. I wouldn't call it volatility, I'd just call it turbulence. It's there's no real controlled action. You know, it might look controlled, but there's just so much uncertainty. A lot of people are afraid of, you know, it's going to have a big dip down. No one knows where this is going. There's a lot of insecurity around. You know, so a lot of the big players, a lot of the big investors have pulled their money out of the stock market and things for a little while. They did that around October, November last year. They're smart, they got out and left the retailer there to sort of be stuck holding the bags. That's what they do. Alright, so looking at ADA or Cardano. No, Cardano's not looking too great. It's holding this line. I've slightly adjusted this line. I did have it over here before because it hadn't fallen beneath, but now it has. So we're going to readjust that line to there. So it's now holding this line. It needs to maintain this line. If it doesn't, it's in big trouble. It can come down they'll start reclaiming all these green candles here. That's where they were putting probably shorts in and things, and they were working their way up. So Cardano could be in some serious trouble soon if it doesn't pick itself back up. and stay above this line. Okay, so that's what it needs to do there. That's on the weekly. Have a look at the, let's look at the monthly. Yeah, nothing is, don't have a lot. Big sell off, big selling, and that's okay. That's a good thing, because it's just had such a massive pump up. You know, it needs to reclaim a lot of this. I think it could reclaim back down to 34 cents. Then we'll have to wait and see. The daily, look again in the oversold territory, starting to wear itself out. We could see a bit of a positive week after next Tuesday. Might start, you know, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday could start being a bit more of a buying time, and maybe see it pump up a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. For Cardano, I don't know if it'll pump very big, but we'll have to wait and see what happens on that one. Let's look at Avalanche. I have to get going soon because I've got to go to gym. Okay. Yeah, not a lot to really look at here. Kind of pretty much at the price it started at. It's had a pump, it's had a dump. You know, now it's kind of trying to work to recover itself. Still a lot more oversold territory to go. True Strength Index is looking okay, but longer term, yeah, I mean, this is looking pretty positive. But if I put this on for a minute, let's see what it looks like. Yeah, like, you know, you're under the moving averages here. Needs a bit of strength to push up, so I might have a little bit more of a drop down first than a work up. Okay, have to wait and see how it goes. Avalanche, all these altcoins, they're all starting to fall back in sync with Bitcoin again, the movements Bitcoin's doing. Let's have a look at SHIB, DOT and Luna, and then we'll, there you go, maybe Solana. Okay, so again, coming into oversold territory, has a fair bit to go, had a little pump up, that was nice. But you know, she's turning here, it's a reversal candle, selling off a bit more, so you know, it's coming into weekly, weekly's rising, you know, but it's kind of doing contrary to what the indicators are showing, so we have to go down a little bit and let's see the lower time frames, see what's happening. Okay, so we're getting this continual sell off. Alright, but if this turns around, you know, maybe SHIB might be looking at getting a buy. Just see how just wait out the week and see where she goes, right? See how she goes over this week, especially the next 3 or 4 days, right? If we can hold this line here, hold this moving average, I'll turn this up again. If we can just sort of hold around this region here and hold strength, even if it drops down, just holds along here, we can turn it around a bit, get going. On the 4 hour, yeah, look, the 4 hours running out a bit. Still has more downside to go a little bit, so just hold on. But you know, it's now dropped between this sort of below this line here, so getting into some bearish territory, but that could turn around. All right, let's have a look at Doge. Sorry, DOT. So breaking out of the channel, come down. Not what you want to see. You know, setting new lows and things. Trying to work its way back up. This is on a 4 hour. Alright, so it's trying to work its way back up. True Strength Index turning around a little bit. But we've got to see where DOT's going. I'd like to see it get way back up because I have a little bit of DOT. But, you know, I think DOT's got a good future. Just have to wait and see where we're going. I don't really care about the future or whatever. I just think trade-wise, on a longer term, I think it's got a pretty good future. Still in this sell-off period here, but we're starting to run out. This can go for quite a while, by the way. You know, it can take a week or two to even turn around, all right? So you've got to be patient on a lot of these things. On the weekly, it already has, you know, it's a reasonably good chance. I mean, it's dropping below here, which is not good, but yeah, it does have an opportunity to sort of start buying back up. We've got some reversals against the bearish direction there. Let's put these back on. There we go. Yeah, okay, so not looking as good. You know, we might see that as a support. We might see $16 as a support. I've gone over these in another video before. We have a big wick down, little wick down here. So it could come down to recover most of this, which would make a nice support line right through here. Not where I want to see it going, but look, you know, that'd be a good buy if it does, you know. So it could stop there. Let's hope that might work out as a good support region around the $11 mark if it goes down. All right. Let's have a look at Luna. So Luna has a little bit more prospect of, we've got a strong moving average here. That's a 50-day, I believe. And we really got to hope that it kind of rests here. I'm not holding Luna. I'm only holding DOL at the moment. It's the only altcoin I hold because I got in and got busy and forgot to sell it off when it went up. Now I'm stuck in it. These things happen. I'm not too worried because it's only a very small amount. Alright. So, Luna is not in a good position being under these two moving averages, but we do have this support here. If it can start to turn around like it's looking like it could, it's going to take time. So I think maybe by the end of February, we might see, as we come into this last week of February or so, let's see a bit more selling off. If we can hold this line, we might be alright. As long as it's nothing drastic, we can maintain a momentum upwards afterwards, okay? So again, right now, I wouldn't really be buying in. There's more selling off to go. If we break this, then it could have a pretty dramatic dump. So you don't really want to be in that right now unless you want to trade. Even trading it, it's pretty risky on a longer term. If you want to have a look at the shorter term, 4 hours, trying to fight back. 1 hour, it might have a bit of a rise over the rest of the day. But look, there's a lot of resistance there. Let's get rid of this. A lot of resistance. Well, we have to see it, don't we? You got moving averages, another moving average, one here as well, the M4. All right. So, in the hourly, might have a little bit of a movement up. Might be able to try and reclaim some of its losses here, but it sort of made a bit of a low. You got an even lower point here. Not good trade over the weekend, but just keep your eye on it over the next few days, guys. At this point in time, let's have a quick look at Solana. People might want to see Solana. Okay, that's the 1 hour. You're going to be working in this range here. It's not going to crack this moving average here, so I wouldn't even sort of worry too much. Probably get a scalp in. The 4 hour, pretty much similar to Bitcoin. It's sort of working its way up. There's people accumulating and buying, but I don't think that's the best idea. I think it could be hitting this this moving average here and just having a bit more of a tumble down, but there is a bit of a strong area of support around this region, so we might see a bit more of a battle. Have to wait and see how it sort of works itself out. A bit more of a battle between the buyers and sellers that will go on, but for now I think it's just going to hold out, maybe have a small move up and take from there. If we have a look on the daily, again, same thing. They're all doing the same thing as Bitcoin because that's all they ever do. Make a bit of a problem, a small W pattern. We might see a bit of a retrace later in the week, and it can come up and maybe attack this moving average here, but it's going to take a lot to do that, so just have to wait and see, guys. Depends on what type of trader you are, really, isn't it? So we've had some pretty good rises here. It's now moved under your longer term moving average, and it's breaking these two as well on the weekly. So yeah, big risk there that you could have a big dump. Maybe down to 34 is possible, but yeah, let's just call it 56. I think 56, if it has a big dump, a big sell-off, it could drop down to there. So just be careful, all right? Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Bitcoin Bank is out, and safe trading, happy trading. See you next time, and I'll do a video soon. Thanks.